Welcome to part 3 of our first half grades for the 2022 Mets. Now it's time for starting pitchers. Let's get started.
On 3-2, Vader. Swings and misses, strike 3. He struck him out. 5 Met pitchers combined for the second no-hitter in New York Mets history.
So the Mets rotation has obviously been a little bit damaged with the injuries to Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, who will be back soon. Tyler McGill has been banged up a little bit, but we haven't really had that many different guys start for us.
A lot of moving pieces, but really the number has been small, like you said, unlike last year, where it seemed at the All-Star break we used about 47 pitchers.
So let's start with Chris Bassett. We acquired this guy in a trade for JT Ginn and Adam Oller. He was supposed to be our 3. He was our 1 for a while. He slotted back to 2. He might be our 4 in a fully healthy rotation.
No, the Bassett Hound has been up and down. It's had some great starts. I mean, obviously, we said in a previous video, since Scherzer went down in the West Coast trip, he wasn't the same, which is kind of surprising. You know, the guy that's pitched in Oakland, you would have thought him going to the West Coast would have been good. It wasn't. Obviously, maybe you could just say he missed spots, or you could just say, hey, you know, he got unlucky, which he made good pitches, but the hitter was just ready for it. Give him a C+. You know, he hasn't had frontline stuff. He's had nice where he looks frontline, but if you look overall wise, you know, he looks like that capable third starter that we need. You know, he's not on the Jake tier. He's not on the Max tier, which obviously we all know that. But again, C+, maybe you could say a B, B-, but I wouldn't be mad if you said B-, but I'm going to go C+.
Now, I might be doing a little bit of projecting here, but I am going to give Bassett a B+, only because I've seen this happen to him multiple times. We all know I'm a big Oakland guy as well. Not a big Oakland guy right now because it's been kind of depressing, but he's always a guy that can bounce back. He really, he shoves through. He gives you length to save the bullpen no matter how bad his start is. He's a workhorse, and I'm really hoping that he does have a great second half with this fully healthy rotation, and maybe we can keep this guy long term because I'm a huge Chris Bassett fan. He's one of my favorite pitchers in the game. So let's get to Cookie. Carlos Carrasco. He got hurt last week. It looks like something was wrong with his back. Nothing too serious. We hope that he is back and healthy back on the mound for us.
You know, the Cookie Monster been pretty good. Genuinely, the expectations of fans were ready to throw him away in the offseason because he couldn't get out of the first inning, and I'm gonna give him a B+. Especially with the expectation coming into the season, a lot of people were like, is he barely the 5th starter? And especially for a guy who's not throwing 100, you know, he doesn't have like this crazy spin rate, doesn't have, you know, the 100-mile-an-hour velocity. He's just the guy that's going to pitch a lot of sliders, a lot of curve, a lot of changeups. We know he has his fastball, but he's going to use his secondary pitches, and he's used them more. Obviously, more sliders. I think it was Gelb was saying he was using a slider more. But again, this was the guy we traded for from Cleveland.
For Cookie, I think last year, he wasn't really playing full-on healthy. The problem with his hamstring took a while for him to come back. And then he also had a elbow surgery at the end of the season. That was really one of the problems with him, where he was kind of tipping his pitches, and it really was a physical thing. This guy is a solid pitcher. He's a solid veteran piece to a rotation. I gave him an A-. I think he has been kind of like the only solid guy that we've been able to full-on rely on 24/7. It sucks that he just got injured. But overall for Cookie, I mean, such an easy guy to root for. And I really hope that he keeps continuing to have success because he's a great guy, great human being. And he's also a huge part to this team, a huge backbone. And I've said it multiple times. Going into this season, he was probably the most underrated player on this entire 26-man roster.
I mean, he's been as good as a chocolate chip cookie, so you got to love it.
Chocolate chip cookies are the freaking best, man. I actually had one today. It's really good. All right, now let's get to David Peterson.
I mean, I think you should just take this whole segment. This should be the Metsfan segment. Let's just, you know, stay quiet and pass it back. What did you give David Peterson?
I gave David Peterson a B. Okay? He's looked good, but he's also looked bad. But he has shown that he's good to be a reliever, which I think that's what he is. Can't stand this guy as a starter. He walks way too many guys. He loses his control. I'm just not trying to see another Steven Matz situation. You got to get the ball over the plate, and I just don't know if I trust him in this starting rotation. For the most part, he has been good, mainly because he has shown what I have expected, which is he's going to be good as a reliever. So suck on it, Twitter. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I gave him a C. You take your ups and downs, and you know what he is. He's your 7th starter on the depth chart. Maybe after the All-Star break, he's maybe hitting double digits. So for me, he's a guy. Use him as a long man. Get him out of the rotation. But you have to use him, so give him a C.
Let's get to the madman, Max Scherzer. Obviously signing that record-setting deal. Has he lived up to it?
It's an F. He's injured. He's paying a guy $40 million. If we want to pay a guy,
he's like a running back, complete bust
exactly.
if you're injured.
Complete bust if you're injured. And if you wanted to pay $40 million, we would have signed a YouTuber for a few years ago. B plus. Again, he's pitched great when he's been on the field, but obviously you got to deduct something for him not being on the field. Again, sub-3 RA, which is great, but he really hasn't looked like Max Scherzer. He's had some starts where he hasn't been able to get deep into games, but yet he's had the start against the Giants, so he was flirting with the no-no, injury deduction, and just not being that guy yet.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you. I think that he has been Scherzer because this is how he is in the first half. Then he kicks it into high gear in the second half, and that's what I'm expecting. He gets an A+. You know why? Because he's Max Scherzer, and he shoves. The man is a beast. He has been amazing at the top of the rotation. I'm also going to include that he's been a great presence for the clubhouse. It's been a breath of fresh air having a guy like Max Scherzer, so competitive, so just a psychopath, and I love it. He's so entertaining to watch, and I can't wait to see him back. Even though he's 37 years old, I mean, this guy, he's pitching like he's 26, and I think that he has the mindset of a 26-year-old, and that's really what gets him through.
Well, yeah, we all know. Again, if anyone's watched these videos, you are the good teacher, and you just pat the kids on the back. I'm the real one here, and I am. Hey, you've been good. You're not on the field, you get deduction. You are the good job, kitty.
I mean, you are kind of accurate on that. To be honest, if I was a teacher, I'd get so fucking annoyed by the kids. I would just pass them to get them the out of my room. So
school, you're not allowed to be 500 feet from elementary school, so you really can't be a teacher. But I at least you're being honest, which I appreciate.
Listen, add to the list. All right, let's get to Taijuan Walker.
Again, I think this is your time. I think I'm going to throw it back to you. Because he has been good, so I need to hear since you're the nice teacher, I'm expecting a nice grade for a guy that's pitched well. So what was your grade for Taijuan Walker, the 2021 All-Star, by the way?
He gets an F because I fucking hate the guy and he pisses me off. I'm gonna give Taijuan Walker a B+. He's been good. He's getting the results. Will they sustain? Probably not. He has reinvented his slider a little bit, which has helped him get through a lot of sticky situations. I just think he's a very vulnerable pitcher. I just don't think he has any sustainable outlook. I'm just really hoping that the walls don't come crashing in before we get our fully healthy rotation back. Continue to be the luck merchant that you are for just a few more weeks, and that's all I ask.
I took everything you just said into account, and I'm doing a little projecting, which I usually don't do.
Go ahead.
I gave him a D. Like, in some of the biggest starts, yeah, he had this Dodger game. The Dodger game being the biggest example. Oh, he got outs. I mean, yeah, but when Trey Turner, Mookie Betts, Justin Turner, and Will Smith are hitting absolute missiles because of a dead ball, they're dying at the warning track. Oh, yeah, he dominates the Marlins. I mean, I could dominate the Marlins. I have a no-hitter under my belt. He dominates the Nationals, keeping to character, and then I've been the tough grader, and this guy's been a cupcake grader. I gave him a D. Again, like the wheels are going to fall off. I'm just hoping, again, like you said, it happens after we get fully healthy.
Listen, he said it, not me. All right. This one's probably the easiest one possible. Thomas Szapucki.
Dog. Next.
I also have him as an F. That was probably the most brutal game I watched as a Mets fan for a while, and I've watched a lot of brutal games as a fan of this team. I mean, what do you think? Does he deserve another chance?
Taijuan Walker got a 2-year deal, so anything's possible.
All right. Well, Thomas Szapucki, everyone. Round of applause. Let's get to probably one of the most important guys we've had this year. If we didn't have him as a backbone, we don't know what position that we would be in. Let's talk about Trevor Williams.
Give a B-. And like you said, he's been one of the most important guys in the rotation. Hey, trading PCA doesn't look as bad as much, obviously the other guys going, but this guy has been an actual major contributor to this team this year. He's been great hair. Kind of looks like Jared Leto, which really makes me want to hate him, but he has pitched well, and at least he's pitched better than Jared Leto did in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I like Trevor Williams. He's a strike spammer. He says no to walk. That's why we like him. He was my pick as the breakout guy. I really thought that he was going to prove value as a reliever and a starter, and he's doing that. I also talked about how this guy might be one of the most underrated guys on the free agent market, and he's proven me right so far. Like, we talk about dogs, he's the dog, the man of grit right there. Now, last but not least, we have the injured right now, Tyler McGill.
I did projecting with the other one. This one I'm gonna do legit looking at the numbers. And I had a grade on the paper. I got it written down in front. I got my whole book, got all my grades in front of me. I'm giving him a D because here's the problem with all these. He had a great start against the Washington Nationals, but a great start to start at opening. It was a step in it was unheard of that he would step in on opening day and be the ace. And then he's gone for a few weeks, and we're like, oh, Tyler McGill bandwagon. Whatever. Then he's back, and everyone is applauding in the streets. Here he goes, and he gives back 2 starts, blows out his shoulder again, and guess what? He's hurt again. Said he is turning into Jacob deGrom. He's never healthy. Bad ERA, still having the same problem with giving up the long balls like he did in the second half of last season. So you put it all together in a sandwich, and it's a D for Tyler McGill.
That's quite the grade for Tyler McGill. Too bad it's the wrong one. B, his repertoire has been accelerated to the top. He's throwing harder than he ever has. He's improved his mechanics. The perceived velocity from his extension has just been incredible so far. He just really has not figured out mastering it yet. The pitch count gets very high, and that's something that can really work him to death, and that's probably the reason why he's gotten injured so far. Has he made his mistakes? Absolutely. But I still can say that this guy is going to be an ace, and he will be. I have compared him all the time to Zach Wheeler, and this is what I'm seeing. Zach Wheeler, the problems that he's having, so similar to Zach Wheeler. He's getting there. Obviously, he's not going to be an ace yet. Is he Jacob deGrom? No, but I think he's good enough to be Zach Wheeler in the future.